You've been saving for months, maybe longer. You walked into that dealership with a plan, you knew your budget, you'd done your homework, you test drove it twice. You drove it home, parked it in the driveway, took a photo of it, and then 6 months later, something shifts. Maybe it's a repair bill you didn't see coming. Maybe it's the fuel economy that never matched what the sticker promised. Maybe it's that nagging feeling every time you get in. Did I make the right call? That feeling has a name: buyer's remorse. And in 2026, it is hitting SUV owners harder than ever. Because here's what's happening. The SUV market is more crowded, more competitive, and more confusing than it has ever been. Manufacturers are spending hundreds of millions of dollars on marketing to make their vehicles look irresistible. Slick commercials, influencer deals, showroom floors designed by psychologists, and a lot of people are walking out with the wrong vehicle. Today, we're cutting through all of that noise. We've gone through owner forums, long-term reliability data, resale value trends, real-world fuel economy numbers, and cost of ownership reports, and we've identified 7 SUVs that are generating the most regret in 2026. But we're not just going to tell you what to avoid. For every single one of these, we're going to tell you exactly what to buy instead and why. So whether you're actively shopping right now or you're just trying to stay informed, stay locked in. This might be the most important car video you watch this year. Let's get into it. Before we get into the list, let me be clear about something, because I know some of you are already defensive about a vehicle you own or love. None of these are bad cars in the absolute sense. They're not falling apart on day one. They're not dangerous. What they are is overpriced for what they deliver, or unreliable compared to what's available at the same price point, or simply vehicles that were sold on image rather than substance. And that's the problem. When a car costs $38,000, $45,000, $55,000, you deserve more than "it's not terrible." You deserve something that earns that money every single day, something that holds its value, something that doesn't surprise you with a $3,000 repair in year 2. That's the standard we're holding these vehicles to. And one more thing, if your vehicle is on this list and you love it, that's great. Genuinely, owner experience is personal, but we're looking at the patterns, the thousands of owners who came back and said, "I wish someone had told me." This video is for them. And for you, before you make that decision. Okay, number 1. Let's start with a vehicle that has been riding on the Jeep name for years, the Jeep Compass. Now, the Compass isn't new, but the 2024 and 2025 refresh brought a lot of new buyers in. People who looked at the styling update, the updated interior, and the Jeep badge on the hood and thought this is a great deal. And on the surface, it looks like one. The price point is accessible. The design is genuinely sharp. It looks like it belongs next to the Wrangler in the Jeep lineup. That's not by accident. Jeep's marketing team is very good at what they do. But here's what starts happening around month 4, month 5, month 6. The transmission hesitation, it's subtle at first. A slight lag when you accelerate from a stop, a weird hiccup when you're merging onto the highway. You take it to the dealer, they tell you it's within normal parameters, you go home. It keeps doing it. Then the infotainment system. Jeep's Uconnect platform has had persistent glitch complaints in the Compass, specifically around Bluetooth connectivity, random screen freezes, and the backup camera occasionally going dark on startup. Again, not dangerous on day 1, but annoying every single day. And then there's the bigger issue, value for money. Because the Compass, in its mid and upper trims, pushes into the high $30,000. And at that price, you are competing with some genuinely excellent compact SUVs, vehicles that have sorted out their kinks, have stronger reliability records, and offer a better overall experience. Long-term owners have flagged fuel economy that doesn't match EPA estimates in real-world mixed driving, a ride quality that feels more budget than the price suggests, and a resale curve that drops faster than comparable vehicles. The Jeep badge is powerful, but in the Compass, you're paying a premium for branding that the vehicle doesn't fully back up. So what do you get instead? The Subaru Forester. It's not glamorous. It doesn't have the badge prestige. But in terms of what it actually delivers as a daily driver and long-term ownership experience, it's in a completely different league. Standard symmetrical all-wheel drive on every single trim. One of the highest reliability ratings in its class, consistently for years running. A raised seating position that gives you genuine visibility, and a dealer network with a reputation for actually being helpful. If you're cross-shopping in the $30,000 to $37,000 range, the Forester should be your first test drive, not your afterthought. This one is going to upset some people, I know. But it needs to be said, because the Bronco Sport might be the most successful piece of automotive marketing in the last 5 years. Think about what Ford did here. They had a beloved nameplate, the Bronco, a vehicle with genuine heritage, genuine off-road capability, a devoted following. They brought it back to massive fanfare. And then, quietly, they also released the Bronco Sport, which looks like the Bronco, uses similar design language, sits right next to it in showrooms, and benefits from every dollar of Bronco marketing. But the Bronco Sport is a fundamentally different vehicle. It's built on the EcoSport platform, a subcompact SUV platform that was designed for urban commuting, not trail running. Now, to be fair, the Bronco Sport is not a bad vehicle for what it is. The higher trims have some legitimate light off-road capability, but the base and mid-trims, you're getting a 3-cylinder engine, a vehicle that shares bones with one of Ford's least beloved nameplates, and a price tag that is being inflated significantly by the Bronco badge on the hood. And here's where the regret really kicks in. Buyers who purchased the Bronco Sport thinking they were getting Bronco capability, who bought it because they wanted that adventure-ready lifestyle, are discovering that the reality doesn't match the story they were sold. Trail-rated capability, mostly cosmetic at the base level. That rugged exterior, primarily visual. The off-road mode systems, present but far more limited than the marketing implies. Meanwhile, reliability complaints, particularly around the 1.5-litre EcoBoost 3-cylinder and some cooling system issues in earlier model years, have made their way into owner communities in significant numbers. What do you get instead? Two options depending on what you actually want. If you genuinely want off-road capability, real, honest, go-somewhere capability, look at the Toyota 4Runner TRD Off-Road. Yes, it's older technology. Yes, the interior is not going to win any design awards in 2026, but the 4Runner has earned its reputation by actually doing what it says. It's a truck-based SUV with a solid rear axle, genuine trail credentials, and an owner community that has decades of proof backing it up. If you want modern features and a vehicle that's genuinely good on and off-road, the Honda Passport Trail Sport is flying under the radar as one of the best value adventure SUVs in 2026. More refined than the 4Runner, genuinely capable, and priced, honestly. The Bronco Sport looks the part. These two actually play it. When GM unveiled the Blazer EV, the reaction was real excitement. It looked stunning. The specs were competitive. The pricing seemed to put it right in the conversation with Tesla's Model Y and the Hyundai Ioniq 5. And then the launch happened. What followed was one of the more painful automotive launch stories in recent memory. Software bugs that were serious enough to halt deliveries. Early customer units that had to be pulled back. Charging reliability issues. A user interface that owners described as unintuitive, slow, and prone to freezing. GM pushed software updates. They addressed some of the hardware issues. And to their credit, the 2026 Blazer EV is meaningfully better than the early units. But here's the problem, and this is critical for anyone shopping right now. Trust, once broken, is expensive to rebuild. And the Blazer EV is paying that price in the used market. Resale values have dropped significantly. The brand confidence that makes a vehicle hold its value over 3 or 4 years is simply not there right now. That means you could be buying a new Blazer EV today at $50,000 and watching it depreciate at a pace that is painful compared to competitors. That's a real cost that doesn't show up in the monthly payment. What do you get instead? The Hyundai Ioniq 5 remains the benchmark for what a well-executed electric SUV looks and feels like. It launched right, built its reputation steadily, and now has years of real-world owner data showing strong reliability, excellent charging performance on 800-volt architecture, and high owner satisfaction. It also holds its value better than almost anything in the EV space right now. The Kia EV6 is its sibling platform and equally impressive, and with a slightly more performance-oriented character. And if you specifically want an American-made electric SUV, the Chevrolet Equinox EV, which is a different vehicle from the Blazer, has quietly become a much better story. It launched more carefully at a more accessible price point and has avoided the drama that plagued the Blazer. The Blazer EV looks like a winner. The Ioniq 5 is one. The Nissan Rogue is one of the best-selling SUVs in America. Has been for years. And that's exactly the problem. When a vehicle sells in massive volumes, it creates its own gravitational pull. It shows up on every bestseller list. Dealers have them in abundance. Friends and family have them. The familiarity feels like validation. But selling a lot of something doesn't mean it's the best choice. It often just means the marketing worked and the dealership had inventory. Here's what the numbers say about the Rogue. CVT transmission concerns have followed this vehicle for years, and while Nissan has made improvements, owner communities are still logging complaints about the transmission feeling unresponsive, hesitant, and in some cases failing earlier than expected. Real-world fuel economy consistently comes in below EPA estimates for a significant percentage of owners, not by a little but noticeably. And the interior, while improved in recent refreshes, still feels a tier below what Honda, Mazda, and Subaru are offering at the same price point. Here's the honest summary. The Rogue is a competent vehicle. It's not a disaster, but competent in a segment this competitive is not good enough. When you can spend the same money and get something that's genuinely better in the ways that matter most, reliability, refinement, long-term cost of ownership, staying with the familiar choice because it's familiar is a form of settling. And in 2026, there are too many good options to settle. What do you get instead? The Mazda CX-5 is one of the most underrated compact SUVs on the market. The interior quality is genuinely premium. It feels like a vehicle that costs significantly more than it does. The driving dynamics are sharp and engaging, reliability scores are excellent, and it looks better than almost anything in its class. The Subaru Outback is another strong alternative, particularly for buyers who want that all-weather, go-anywhere versatility without paying Jeep prices. Standard AWD, legendary reliability, practical and comfortable for long drives. If the Rogue is on your shortlist, put the CX-5 next to it on a test drive. The difference is immediately obvious. The Volkswagen Atlas is one of those vehicles that sells on aspiration. 3 rows, a spacious, well-appointed interior, a European brand that carries a certain prestige in the American market, an adult refined aesthetic that makes minivan buyers feel like they're not driving a minivan. And look, the Atlas isn't wrong for wanting to be all of those things. The pitch is compelling. Walk into a VW showroom, sit in the Atlas, and it genuinely feels like a solid choice. But then you actually own it. VW's long-term reliability reputation in the US market has been a persistent problem, not a rumor, not a talking point, but a documented pattern in owner satisfaction surveys and repair frequency data. The Atlas specifically has drawn complaints around its 4Motion all-wheel drive system, electrical system issues, turbocharger concerns in the base engine, and, critically, a dealer service experience that many owners describe as slow, expensive, and occasionally dismissive. And this matters a lot because an SUV is not just a purchase. It's a 5 to 7 year relationship with a vehicle and a dealer network. If that relationship is difficult, the cost is measured not just in money, but in time, stress, and the creeping regret of wondering what else you could have bought. The Atlas also has a cost of ownership problem. Maintenance costs, particularly outside of the powertrain, skew high compared to Japanese and Korean competitors. Extended warranty considerations become important, and that adds to the total price. What do you get instead? The Kia Telluride is not just a good alternative, it is genuinely one of the best 3-row SUVs ever made in its price range. It has won more awards, maintained stronger owner satisfaction scores, and held its resale value better than almost any competitor. The interior is sophisticated. The technology is current. The reliability record is excellent. The Hyundai Palisade shares its platform and is equally strong, but with a slightly more formal, luxury-adjacent character. For families who need 3 rows and want to stop worrying, these 2 vehicles are the answer, and they cost less than a comparably equipped Atlas. This one requires nuance. So let's be precise. The Tesla Model Y, in terms of what it can do, is still a genuinely impressive electric vehicle. The range is strong. The performance, even in base trim, is quick. The supercharger network is the best charging infrastructure in the country. Autopilot, whatever your opinion of it, is more capable than most systems at this price. So why is it on this list? 2 reasons, and both of them are about money. First, fit and finish. Tesla's quality control has been inconsistent for years, and the 2026 refresh hasn't resolved this the way buyers hoped. Panel gaps, interior trim issues, paint defects on delivery, these are not rare edge cases. They're common enough that there are entire communities dedicated to documenting them and advising buyers on what to inspect before driving off the lot. For a vehicle in this price range, that is simply not acceptable. Second, and this is the more important financial issue, resale value has collapsed. Tesla vehicles, which used to hold their value exceptionally well, are now depreciating faster than almost any other vehicle in the market. Aggressive price cuts from Tesla itself have hammered the used market. Combined with the broader brand perception shift that has been well documented over the past 18 months, you are now in a situation where buying a new Model Y means accepting depreciation that feels closer to a mainstream sedan than a premium EV. That's a financial reality that monthly payment calculators don't show you. What do you get instead? If you want a premium EV SUV with strong long-term value, look at the BMW iX xDrive 40. It is a more refined vehicle, with a more stable brand at a price point that makes sense when you factor in residual value. For buyers who want the most capable and well-rounded electric SUV in the $45,000 to $55,000 range, the Hyundai Ioniq 5 comes up again for a reason. It's worth repeating. Strong resale, excellent reliability, fast charging, great to drive. And for buyers drawn to the Model Y because of autopilot specifically, take a serious look at what GM's Super Cruise system is doing in 2026. It's genuinely competitive, and it comes in vehicles that are holding their value better. Let's close the list with a vehicle that has a passionate following and a painful reality check in 2026. The Dodge Durango, V8 power. 3 rows, a presence on the road that most family SUVs completely lack. It sounds incredible, especially with the performance trims. It looks like something that takes no nonsense. For a certain type of buyer, the Durango is basically automotive perfection, and we get it, we really do. But here's where the Durango stands in 2026, honestly assessed. It is an aging platform, significantly older architecture than its competitors, and Stellantis has shown little urgency in modernizing it. Fuel costs in real-world daily driving are significant. Reliability scores have declined in recent data cycles. And Stellantis's parts availability and dealer service issues, which have been widely reported, mean that when something goes wrong, getting it fixed can be a longer and more frustrating process than it used to be. For buyers who bought a Durango expecting that classic Dodge ownership experience, the V8, the sound, the swagger, many are finding that the ownership costs and service experience are eroding the joy of what they drove home. What do you get instead? If you need 3 rows and serious capability, the Toyota Sequoia is the answer. Toyota completely redesigned it with a twin turbocharged V6 hybrid powertrain that produces V8 power and V6 fuel economy simultaneously. It is more refined, more modern, more efficient, and comes backed by Toyota's service network, which is one of the strongest in the industry. Yes, it's more expensive upfront, but the 5-year ownership math tells a completely different story than the sticker price suggests. And if a full-size 3-row isn't what you need, the Kia Telluride makes a 3rd appearance on this list for good reason. For buyers who bought a Durango for the family space rather than the V8 theater, the Telluride does the family part significantly better at a lower cost. So there you have it. 7 SUVs generating real regret in 2026 and 7 paths to a better decision. Here's what ties all of these together, because there is a pattern. Every single vehicle on this list was sold on something: a badge, a lifestyle image, a legacy nameplate, a bold launch moment. And every single alternative we recommended was chosen on substance: reliability data, real-world owner experience, long-term value, total cost of ownership. That's the shift that turns a good car buyer into a great one. Because the best vehicle you can buy isn't the one that excites you most in the showroom. It's the one you're still grateful for in year 3, year 4, year 5, the one that doesn't surprise you with bills, the one that holds its value when it's time to move on, the one you'd buy again. Before you sign anything, do this. Search the owner forums for the specific model and year you're considering. Look at long-term reliability data, not just first-year reviews. Price out a 5-year ownership cost, not just a monthly payment. And if this video helped you see things differently, hit that like button. It genuinely helps more people find this before they make a decision they'll regret. Subscribe if you want honest, data-backed coverage of the automotive market every week. No sponsorships clouding the takes, no manufacturer money shaping the recommendations. Drop a comment below with the SUV you're currently considering. We read everyone, and we'll tell you honestly if it's a vehicle we'd put our own money into. The right SUV is out there. Make sure it's the one in your driveway. See you in the next one.